In 2015, the mayor of Taipei stood above this bizarre and misshapen construction site and threatens to strangle every single one of the contractors if it couldn't be completed. Despite this public and rather impassioned threat, it would be another 7 years before the building finished. It's $80 million over budget, a decade under construction, and one of the most important cultural buildings in Asia. This is the story of the Taipei Performing Arts Centre, the building that nearly broke Taipei. You might have noticed that Taiwan has been in the news quite a bit lately. If you look back to this time last year, you'll remember that former US Speaker Nancy Pelosi took a trip to the nation.
Now to the escalating tensions between the US and China, with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi meeting with Taiwan's president overnight. China's accusing the US of playing with fire.
By the time she touched down, tensions were ratcheting up. An American this senior on this soil is provocative.
It was the highest profile visit by an American politician to Taiwan in 25 years, and in response, Beijing launched a barrage of joint military exercises. It was a big deal. Against this backdrop, and at the same time as Pelosi's visit, the long-gestating Taipei Performing Arts Centre finally opened. Some would see it as a chaotic beginning for a building with a long and chaotic history, but the defiance of Pelosi's visit, whether you agree with it or not, and the opening of this theatre are more closely connected than you might think. But to understand all that, you need to rewind the clock a bit. So let's head back to 2008. Taipei launched an international competition to find the design for a set of theatres to be built on the site of the Shilin Night Market. These buildings would be an icon for culture and help legitimise the tiny nation on the world stage. Think of what the Guggenheim did for Bilbao, or what the Opera House did for Sydney. A building, especially a cultural building with government money, is never just a building. It's a statement. Dutch architecture studio OMA had no interest in chasing icons, nor did it want to create a wholly generic theatre, so it set about creating something else. With no expectation of winning the competition, the architects designed with absolute freedom, and that's probably why they won.
So what we did is kind of from the beginning take a risk, and I think that's more what we did. We took a risk in the competition design. If they would really want to have a theater that was kind of based on the generic brief, then our solution was not the most obvious solution than one of the other 140 entries would have been.
The first thing they did was decide to keep the night markets, seeing them as a vital part of the city and a unique way to combine so-called high culture and low culture.
Basically, you have to understand Taipei. Taipei is a very energetic city, and the Taiwanese are the nation that goes to sleep latest. So the nightlife is a very important part of Taipei. The location of the theater was in the heart of the Taipei nightlife. That was deeply exciting because it meant that a theater, typically a semi-elitist entity, could be located in the heart of the most popular part of the city.
But not only did they keep the night markets, they drew inspiration from them.
We got fascinated by the kind of cooking because the kitchens have enormous capacities on kind of very small little territories. It was exactly what we wanted to also achieve in the kind of theater itself.
Their Performing Arts Centre packs a lot into a small space. The Globe Playhouse, an 800-seat spherical theatre designed to resemble a planet docking against the cube. The Grand Theatre, a 1,500-seat space, and the Blue Box, which is going to be used for more experimental shows. Instead of giving each theatre its own back of house and its own entrance, these features are brought together. Lifting the theatres up above the ground leaves space outside free for public use. It's an unorthodox method that's then created an opportunity for invention. The Grand Theatre and Blue Box can be connected, creating a super theatre that's 100 metres long.
We see that in Taipei and in Taiwan, everything operates in the most efficient way and not necessarily in the most lush and luxurious way. It's kind of a city that is quite rough, that is kind of kept its own identity.
This was an ambitious project, and the challenges of constructing it were immense. The building is essentially a central volume with the theatres floating out at varying angles. There are cantilevers, enormous domes, and earthquakes to worry about. To allow for architectural freedom and to prevent these floating spaces from falling to the ground, the faces of the central cube were turned into a stiff-braced steel box, carrying the building's lateral loads and much of the gravity force. This worked in combination with columns beneath the auditoria to support and stabilise the 3 projecting volumes. Taipei is famously prone to earthquakes, sitting right in the middle of the Ring of Fire, so the Arts Centre had to be engineered to be earthquake resistant. The whole superstructure is base isolated, essentially meaning the building is lifted up and separated from its base. In the event of an earthquake, the ground will shake, but those in the building are only going to feel about 40% of its force. The Globe Theatre itself cantilevers 26 metres from the main cube. That's accomplished by 3-dimensional space trusses occupying the space between the auditorium and the outer shell. Despite its complexity, the Globe Theatre, a modern nod to Shakespeare's Globe Theatre in London, was designed with functionality in mind. Because of its unique shape, audience members sit in a curved plane closer to the stage, allowing more visitors a better experience of the shows.
The energy that comes from the stage is absorbed by everybody in the room instead of only the people that are more up front. And by creating this double shell round theater, we could of course bring people a lot closer to the stage.
This democratization continues in other elements of the design too. There's a public loop that runs through the entirety of the building, allowing anyone to come and see the inner workings of the theatre at any time without a ticket.
So the whole route is going to a nice cafe and to a nice kind of platform on the roof to overlook Taipei, but it is also going through the rehearsal spaces. You see the offices where the people work to kind of program the theater. It goes to a technical grid so that you can see how a technical grid actually is operated and how it supports what is happening on stage. It goes past the backstage so that you see what is all needed. And then it also passes through the Globe Theater where you can really look at the performance, obviously behind glass so that you can't disturb it. But you will hear it and you can see it without a ticket.
Now, the whole project was originally due to complete by 2013, but construction didn't even start until 2012. It even bankrupted the main contractor, and by 2015, Mayor Ko Wen-ji delivered his infamous threat. The budget soon ballooned from $120 million to $226 million. Then the pandemic hit, and the lead architects had to finish their arts centre from Europe via Zoom.
I have done the delivery with a camera on the helmet of one of my employees, kind of going through every corner for 2 days out behind the screen.
It's actually a very strange situation because although in the beginning we were deeply involved almost with constructing the thing from the earth, it's become virtual at the end.
But come 2022, the project was finished and opened to the public. A small theatre with a big vision. A democratised version of theatre built next to the hub of the city's nightlife. A theatre for everyone.
Of course, the relationship with China, being part of Greater China, is a sensitive one, but in Taiwan there is a kind of some sort of freedom in a very clear way to debate that or to discuss it at least, and especially in the theater and through art. And that's kind of voice we wanted to be able to provide from our theater. And we are not in that tension, we are not in that debate, so you need to kind of be collaborating with people that are, to enlighten you what you can do with that in a building design.
While China flew its planes overhead, Taiwan opened its theatre with the hope that culture could be an even greater weapon. A building is never just a building, like the Guggenheim in Bilbao or the Opera House in Sydney. This building is about freedom and it's about expression. It's about the Taiwanese identity standing in defiance. Defiance of gravity, defiance of budget, defiance of the chaos that surrounds it. It may look bizarre and disjointed, or maybe even beautiful and daring, but it's definitely not constrained. This building may have nearly broken Taipei, but it could yet make the city too. This video was sponsored by Bluebeam. You can learn more about how their digital construction tools are helping teams around the world at the link below. There's also the chance to dive deeper on this and other topics on our channel over on the World's Best Construction podcast, available right now wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, make sure you're subscribed to the B1M.